Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Carrie, and I work in the Teen and Adult Services Department at the North Suburban Library District. Today, we're going to talk about bullet journals. For those of you that have bullet journaled before, this will just be a refresher. And for those who have not bullet journaled before, we are going to cover the basics in this video to get you started. So the topics we're going to cover are: what is a bullet journal? How we can use bullet journals to manage our lives, and then we'll get into some of the fun stuff like bullet journal layouts and spreads. I'll show you some of my own personal bullet journal examples, and then we'll talk about how to get your own bullet journal started. So first, let's talk about what a bullet journal is. A lot of people who bullet journal often call them bujos, so that's a term you'll hear a lot. The bullet journal concept was created by a man named Ryder Carroll around 2013. He published a book called The Bullet Journal Method in 2018, and it's available for checkout at NSLD Loves Park if you're interested in reading up on his concept and ideas. And it's basically a way of journaling to make your life easier. Now, Ryder Carroll's method is more complex, and what I mean by this is he has a certain system, symbols, and method that he uses, which he discusses in his book. For the purpose of this program, we are going to simplify a lot of that, because in the world of bullet journaling, there is a lot of technical jargon, like the concept of migration, future logs, or the proper way to index your bullet journal. So we're going to bypass a lot of that because it can get a little overwhelming. Now, bullet journaling is absolutely not supposed to make you feel overwhelmed. We all have thoughts and ideas floating around in our heads. We all have lists that we make and keep track of. We all have things that we need to remember. Bullet journaling is a way to de-stress our lives and our minds. There is not a right or wrong way to bullet journal. The great thing about bujos is that they are tailored to fit the individual, so it will exactly fit your needs. So once you get used to your own version of bullet journaling and you want to learn more about Ryder Carroll's method, feel free to check out his book at NSLD Loves Park. Now let's talk about how bujos can help declutter our lives and our minds. Like I said before, bujos are made by you, so they are meant to help you. My bullet journal layout will be very different from yours, and that's totally okay. They're all meant to be different. Anybody can go and buy a notebook or calendar planner at a store, but those planners are mass produced and they aren't created to fit the needs of every individual person. Hence, why the bullet journal is such a fantastic tool to have. I want you all to stop and think for a moment about what kinds of things you would like to manage or keep track of in your life. These could be things like creating and keeping a schedule for homework, or keeping a list of shows you're watching on Netflix and which seasons you've watched, or keeping a list of books you've read for the year. Or maybe you'd like to track your mood or feelings every day. Maybe you have a work schedule you'd like to write down, or a list of recipes you'd like to try making this year. Or maybe you like to make budget lists every month. It literally can be anything. Instead of trying to remember all of these things, you can keep it all in one place, like your bujo, and then just refer back to it whenever you need to. Bullet journaling can be very therapeutic and relaxing, as it allows us to empty our minds, it keeps our lives organized all in a simple journal. They can be as creative or as minimalistic as you want them to be. They can have themes, colors, stickers, or you can keep everything black and white. It's whatever works for you. All right, now comes the fun part. I'm going to talk about different kinds of layouts for bullet journals, and this is the part that can get overwhelming. When I first started looking into bullet journaling, I saw a lot of cool and creative spreads, and I wanted to try everything. My first two bullet journals were super design heavy, and yes, while they were fun and cool, I had created pages I thought I would use, but I never did. And it would take me so long to set up my bullet journals that I just couldn't keep up with them anymore, or I would lose interest. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to get discouraged or frustrated. Remember what I said earlier? Bujos are meant to keep your life stress-free, and that was the opposite of what it was doing for me. I created a bunch of trackers, but I never filled them out. And I learned that I really needed to figure out what I actually needed to keep track of in my life and not what other people did. But perhaps having a super creative and colorful bujo will work for you. I just suggest that you start very minimally at first and then expand as you go. Writer Carol, the creator of the bullet journal, says, quote, "It's not about how your journal looks. It's about how it makes you feel and how effective it is," unquote. So if you end up making a spread or a tracker that you never end up using or filling out, then you'll know that that particular option isn't necessary for you. So before we look at bullet journal layouts, I want you to pause this video on the following slide, grab a piece of paper and a pen, and create a list of 5 to 10 things you'd like to keep track of in your new bujo. That would make your life easier. And to get your creative juices flowing, I want to put up a list of suggestions for you all to look at, but feel free to write down whatever you want. All right, pause your video now. The last thing I want to mention is that you want to leave the first couple of pages blank in your bullet journals before you start drawing and writing in your bujo. These first couple of pages will be labeled as your index, and it is used to indicate what is on each of your pages and where it's located within your bujo. Many bullet journals that you can purchase on Amazon or in stores will already have some index pages available for you to use, like in this image. This is the index of my current bullet journal. A lot of bujos come with the pages already numbered as well, but if yours isn't, then just write the page numbers in one of the corners to help you keep track. I also would like to mention that if you're planning on purchasing a larger bullet journal, it is important to know that you can purchase either bullet journals with dotted pages or with lined pages. Many people who like to draw and get a bit creative with their journals prefer the dotted pages, but both versions are great, and it comes down to your personal preference. Now that you have your list and your index pages established, let's get into some of the technical jargon. While you're learning how to bullet journal, you'll hear words like weekly spread or monthly spread a lot. This just means this is a section of your bullet journal that is dedicated to an entire week or month of schedules, trackers, and lists. For example, my very first bullet journal was a Harry Potter themed bullet journal, and I had it set up in a monthly spread. I always started out each monthly spread with a title page showing the month, then a calendar of some sorts of that entire month, and then all of the stuff that I wanted to keep track of during that specific month, like my moods, workouts, the weather, or whatever I wanted. And each monthly spread had a different theme. In this picture, the month of April was all herbology themed. Then at the end of the month, I would start a new monthly spread and start the trackers and schedules over. While I enjoyed being creative and doodling and making my bullet journal look nice, my life just didn't a lot for the amount of time I needed to keep up with this concept. As you can see, I slowly stopped filling it out because it just became tedious work to me. But this may not be the case for you. Maybe something like this could work for you, but it just didn't work for me. Some bullet journals don't do spreads at all. Some are just lists of items and things to remember, and that's okay too. Your bullet journal can contain whatever you want it to because it's yours. So here are a couple of images from my April herbology spread. The 2 pages in the image on the right-hand side are called trackers. A lot of people use trackers to track things like their daily moods, workouts, water intake, habits, daily tasks that they want to complete, or anything else that you want to track. I had to color in the flower vines and the mushrooms on the days that I completed the task that I was tracking. If you want to do a tracker, they do not have to be this decorative. And you could do a simple squares or check boxes if you wanted to. Like I said before, your bullet journal can be as creative or simplistic as you'd like. Here are some more examples from my Harry Potter themed bujo. This month was all potions themed, and these two were my mood and my workout trackers. So I used cauldron bubbles and potion bottles that I had to color in according to how I was feeling that day or what kind of exercise I had done that day. Here's an example from my second bullet journal. I think I was going for a flower garden type of theme. So on the left is my monthly title page, and then I did weekly spreads within my monthly spread. I barely ever filled anything out in my weekly spread. So this is what I mean by creating different things and not using them. The style just didn't work for me, and so I didn't continue to fill any of it out. My current bullet journal is much more simplistic and fits my needs. I decided not to do monthly or weekly spreads, but rather just create lists of things I needed to remember. Here's an image from my current bullet journal for keeping track of the books I read this year and the seasons of the show that I'm currently watching. I like to bake and make new things, so I created a list of new and interesting recipes I'd like to try this year, and I rate them based on how much I like them. So since I didn't create any calendars in this bullet journal, I created a page where I keep in my important dates to remember. So here's where I keep any future dates I need to remember. Like one example is that I have to change both of my dog's flea and tick collars every 8 months. So I write it down here so I can remember when I need to get them new ones. Here's another example. I've been planning an international trip to Scotland. So here I'm keeping track of the interesting places there that I'd like to visit. Anytime I come across something fun or interesting that I want to remember or look up, I write it down here. Here's another example from my current bujo. I created a list of things I wanted to accomplish this year, and I check them off when they're complete. I also am keeping track of all the states I visited. It's a goal of mine to visit every state, but as you can see, at the time I took this picture, I hadn't colored anything in yet. So as you can see, you can literally put anything you want in your journal. They're a great chance for you to get creative with, to help you stay organized, but they also give you a chance to focus on everything that you've completed at the end of the day. It gives you a great sense of accomplishment when you can go in and check a box off for a task you've been working towards finishing. And they're also very relaxing. It's nice to be able to work on your bullet journal at the end of the day, create a new page or add something to your lists. If you are interested more in doodles and designs, you can go to Pinterest or you can even Google for ideas. Just type in bujo budget tracker or bujo flower designs or something like that. And you'll get a whole bunch of page designs and ideas that other people have created. But remember to start small and add as you go. Make your bullet journal fit your needs. Just because you see something neat doesn't mean that it may work for you. And above all, have fun. Thank you for joining us today. We hope our video covered the basics enough to get you started and that bullet journaling brings new joy to your lives. We will see you next time.